All right, so this is Algebra 1, lesson 9-7. We're doing the Advanced Ninja Star today. Today's date is Monday, March 23rd. That is a bad too. 23rd, 2020. Another Zoom lesson with a quiet raised hand. Is there someone that can read the objective today? First come, first serve. Yep, got it first.
Thank you. I did?
You did, yeah.
Okay. Factor quadratic trinomials when the leading coefficient is not 1.
So that's the key difference, right? 9-6 is when the leading coefficient is 1. 9-7, now the leading coefficient is not 1. But we're still dealing with quadratic trinomials. All right. And again, if you are struggling with the terminology here, quadratic means you have something, the highest degree term is x squared. And trinomial means you have 3 individual segments, 3 terms. And yeah, the leading number is not 1. So it's like 2x squared or 7x squared. It's not just x squared. All right, so these are the same 2 steps I've been going over and over again. What are the 2 steps? Yeah, Charles, go for it.
The distributing versus factoring, that's a quadnomial or whatever.
So it's actually, so you're thinking it has 4 terms. You're almost correct. So only polynomials, when I call them trinomials or quadnomials or binomials, I always have them adding and subtracting, but these are being multiplied right here.
Okay, yeah, those are fine. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So what are the 2 steps when it comes to factoring? It's the same 2 steps over and over again. So sorry why I can't call on you. I'm gonna call on someone else. But thank you for raising your hand. It lets me know that you know what's going on. Again, with Zoom, can someone raise their hand with a nonverbal feedback? Again, clicking on participants, and then you can click on raise hand. Is raise hand kind of hard to access though? I guess you can say yes also, and I will consider that a call on you type of thing. So yes, Esha.
Find the GCF.
There it is. So it's find and factor, right? So I'll write factor out the GCF. And that's always going to be your first step. Sometimes you don't have to factor out the greatest common factor, but you should always be checking it, because if you forget to check it, it might make your life really, really difficult. All right. And step 2, and I'll give you a hint. I lied to you last lesson 9-6. It's not Ninja Star, and you can kind of tell by today's lesson, it's Advanced Ninja Star. So step 2 is Advanced Ninja Star. And I just want to go on a slight tangent. As a teacher, or as teachers, we lie to you on purpose. We tell you slight untruths, and then the way that we clarify them later will make it so that you understand why we are lying. I'm still lying to you in this lesson, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm lying about, but those are your 2 steps. So this is, I think, the same problem from 9-6. If I have these 2 binomials and they're being multiplied by each other, 2x plus 3 times 3x minus 5, this is going to turn into a quadratic trinomial. Do you guys want to use FOIL? Do you guys want to use Ninja Star? You guys can just kind of shout this one out. What is your guys' preferred method?
Right here.
FOIL. Yeah.
FOIL or box?
FOIL.
Yeah. Okay, let's FOIL this. All right. So I'm looking for some quiet raised hands to help me. I'm looking to call on 4 people to do 4 of these terms, then maybe a 5th person to combine those like terms. I'm going to do F in the FOIL, and that's the first. Again, I'm going to call on people that I typically don't call on. If you can just raise your hand or put a yes, then I can call on you. Yeah, Charles.
Wouldn't it be 2x times 3 times 3x? Because that's 1
times 3.
term.
Are you doing this times 3 also?
Well, since the 3 and the 3x is 1 term, wouldn't you multiply the 2x by both?
You're only going to do the first term of the binomial for each binomial. So the first is 2x, the first is 3x. I'm just going to multiply 2x by 3x.
Okay.
And by the way, if people unraise and raise their hand over and over, it fills up my computer and then I can't see anymore. So just as a heads up. Yeah, so Charles, you want to do 2x times 3x for us?
Would be 6x squared.
It is indeed 6x squared. Okay, another quiet raised hand. I'm going to do this 2x times this negative 5. Again, I'm including that entire negative in there. Anyone who wants to say yes in the nonverbal feedback or raise hand? Someone new, hypothetically. Yeah, Ulysses, go for it.
Would it be negative 10x?
It is negative 10x. I'm going to call on Jade next, if that's okay. I'm assuming if you have a quiet raised hand, you can do any of these problems. So I'm going to do outer. So first outer, inner. Now I'm on inner. 3 times 3x. Jade, go for it.
9x.
It is indeed 9x, a positive 9x. Yeah, thank you. And then finally we have the last, and let me see who has their hands raised. Yeah, Ugo.
Negative 15.
Negative 15. There it is. Thank you. And then from there, is there someone that can combine like terms to simplify this problem into its final answer? I'm going to probably cold call on people. Maybe you're not comfortable raising your hand because you're so focused on taking notes and you don't want to click on the computer.
How do you make, raise your hand? Do you just have to raise it?
So if you click on participants at the very bottom of Zoom, there's a yes button, a no button, a go slower button, a go faster button, a more button, and under more there's a, is there a raise hand? I don't know.
Raise hand is the left of yes.
Oh, nice. I don't have that on my computer, so yeah, do you see it though, Larissa? I know.
Well, you could just say yes. So
I don't even have those. Wait, what do I have to click on?
So you're in Zoom, and if you click on participants at the very bottom.
I did, and I just see all of you guys. Oh, I see it.
Yeah. So yeah, Larissa, do you want to combine like things?
Yeah. Negative 1x.
And these are just copied down. And just as a heads up, if you actually type in negative 1x in the Khan Academy, there's a 50% chance, I don't know, it really depends on the homework assignment, they might not give it to you. The simplified answer is just negative x. So 6x squared minus x minus 15. While this is mathematically correct, but sometimes you might not get the credit on Khan Academy. So just as a heads up, this is the simplified answer. Yeah, thank you. All right. Cool. And yeah, if you have any questions while I'm working on a lesson, again, a raised hand is a good way to get my attention. All right, so now we're moving on to the advanced ninja star, and this can be used on any quadratic trinomial. And sometimes it might not work. I didn't talk about that last lesson, but sometimes it just doesn't work. There are unfactorable quadratic trinomials. In fact, if I had to just say, if you gave me a giant list of random quadratic trinomials, I would say 99% of them cannot be factored. So the vast majority of them cannot be factored, but there are some that can be factored, and I'm going to be making sure that I choose good ones to always give you ones that can be factored. So let's go ahead and actually start with this orange equation, or this orange expression, 6x squared minus x minus 15. I want to undo all of that. So I know the answer. I can write down the answer right now. The answer should be 2x plus 3 times 3x minus 5 down here and down here. But for the sake of, I don't know, dazzling you guys, I'm going to go ahead and not write that down and show you how to undo everything. All right, so how do I do this? To set up the ninja star, I'm going to follow the instructions that I have down here. Step number 1, I'm going to put a times c in this top spot up here. So that means the coefficient of this x squared term, that's a, and whatever that last constant is. So I can do this for you because I can do the multiplication. It's not too hard. 6 times negative 15. And I think of this as 3 times 15 and then times 2. So 3 times 15 is 45, times 2 is 90. So this is a negative 90 on the top. And I'll go through that once again just to make sure everyone can follow along. I'm putting the coefficient 6 times the constant term, negative 15. I multiply those two together to get negative 90. And I think drawing arrows on your notes is a great way of showing where these numbers are coming from, because yes, it's nice to have written instructions, but even better, like you can follow the arrows with your eye. Hey, bud. All right, and then step number 2, we're gonna put the b term on the bottom. Again, b is the coefficient of whatever that x term, not the x squared, the x term. So the coefficient here, it's actually easier to see Larissa's first answer, -1. So I'm gonna put -1 in the bottom. And this is kind of another new step. So number 1 was a new step. Maybe I can just write new or updated. And then number 3 is definitely a new step. I have to put an AX term to the top left and the top right. What that means is, you see an AX right here. I'm essentially crossing off this square and rewriting this term right here. So in the top left, and the top right, these two spots are both 6x. 6x. Again, it's as if I'm crossing off this square term, and I feel kind of nervous for saying this. It's very wishy-washy math, but this is the process that will kind of get you the answer the quickest way possible. So again, the first term, 6x squared, just cross off the square term, and you're left with 6x and 6x. Okay, you should have, this Ninja Star is now officially set up. We're done setting it up. Now we have to actually solve the Ninja Star. And it's almost the exact same question as it was before. What times what multiplies to the top, and what plus what adds to the bottom? And then you have to start going through all the factors of 90. Again, the first step is two numbers that multiply to the top. So what times what is 90? And I start going through my head. The easiest one is 1 times 90. There's no way 1 and 90 can add to 1. Then I go 2 and 45. No, that doesn't work. 3 times 30. No, that doesn't work. 4 times, what is that going to be? 4 does not go into 90. How do I know that? Because if I can't divide 90 by 4. 90 divided by 2, divide by 2. 90 divided by 2 is 45. 45 can't be divided by 2 again. So what about 5? 5 and 18. No, that doesn't work. I keep going through them all in my head, and eventually I'll find one that adds up to -1. I don't want to give this one away. I almost did. Does anyone know what times what or multiplies to -90 and also adds to -1? You can either say yes or raise your hand in the chat.
Well, I can't open the chat for some reason.
I guess it's not the chat, it's the participants. So at the very bottom, is there a button that says participants?
Well, there's a button that says more, and you click that, and then it says participants.
Oh, okay. I wonder if it depends
if it's too small.
Yeah, it's too small.
Then you press the more.
I see. That's good to know. Yeah, what? You've been patiently waiting? Thank you.
Thank you. -10 and 9 multiply to -90, and -10 plus 9 equals -1.
There it is. Yeah, thank you. So everyone can copy it down. I'm sure everyone can probably check why it's math really quickly. It's like, oh yeah, those do make sense. So in our old method, we were done. Like, that was the answer. I write 6x minus 10 and 6x plus 9. I rewrite this entire fraction. So right now, this is incorrect. Please do not copy this down. Theoretically, I would write down 6x minus 10 and 6x plus 9. That's not correct, though. Sorry, bud. This is my stylus. I need it to write. Here, I can give you this, though. You want a pen? Here, let me put this one clicks. Look, click. Oh, yeah. That one's better, huh? This doesn't work. Why does it not work? Look at the first two terms. 6x times 6x. 6 times 6 is 36. That's not what we had up here. We had just normal 6. If this was a 36 up here in the blue, then we would be good, but that clearly doesn't multiply. So something bad is going on. So let me get rid of all this and try again. If I follow the steps, I'm really on step 5. So I'm on step 5, which again is a new step. I'm going to reduce fractions. So I want to think of this 6x over -10 as a fraction. I'm using air quotes because it's not really a fraction, but you need to think of it as a fraction. And I'm going to factor out the greatest common factor. I'm going to divide the top and bottom by the biggest number. And is there a quiet raised hand that can do that just to practice your reducing fractions again? I know that you guys are masters of doing this since like the 7th grade or whenever. What can I divide the top and bottom by? And I'm noticing in terms of technology, when you say yes in the chat, I don't get a notification, but if you raise your hand, it pops up on my computer, and now Eamon is causing my computer to be just full of Eamon has raised his hand. Eamon has raised his hand. Yeah, so Eamon, what should I divide the top and bottom by?
2.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm going to divide the top and bottom by 2. Do you want a pen like that? So yeah, divide by 2. 6x divided by 2 is 3x. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. Yeah, so Eamon has simplified our fraction, or reduced our fraction to 3x and negative 5. Which means, since we have reduced as far as it will go, one of these binomials is 3x minus 5. Eamon has given us one of the answers. So thank you, Eamon. Is there someone that can also reduce this right-hand fraction? What should I divide the top and bottom by? I can get rid of these. I think you guys can follow the math here. Hopefully someone that I haven't called on before. I don't know. Yeah, Esha.
You can divide them by each by 3.
Yep, and then what do you get when you divide the numerator and denominator by 3?
For the top one, you'd get 2x for the denominator, and the denominator would be 3.
Yep, so 2x and 3, which means our other binomial is 2x and a positive 3, so I'm going to write positive 3. And we have our answer, done. And check it out. Look how it matches up with our first, like our start, right? It was 2x plus 3 times the quantity of 3x minus 5. We've checked our work already because we've gone forwards and backwards. That's how you can check your work when it comes to factoring and multiplying these binomials and trinomials.
Right. This isn't the coolest view. You should come when you can see the whole class. Isn't that weird?
It's tinier than I thought.
Well, that's because he's sharing his screen.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is his screen.
Did you guys hear President Trump said school can go back to session next week?
You really just said that?
No, he did not say that.
I was
Just going.
All right.
Hi, Dad.
We are now on example number 1. Again, your first step should always be look to factor out the greatest common factor. There isn't one, so you don't have to
is
worry.
none.
But I will tell you on example 2 and example 3, they both have a greatest common factor that you need to factor out. But for example 1, we're good. All right, so if we can't factor out the greatest common factor, that means we're on step 2, use Advanced Ninja Star. So Advanced Ninja Star, I'm going to set it up here on the left. Advanced Ninja Star, it's just our normal Ninja Star with an extra horizontal line through it. All right, let's see how many people with quiet raised hands can remember how do we set up Advanced Ninja Star? What goes on the top? What goes on the top left, top right? What goes on the bottom? What numbers go where? Yeah, Kira.
Okay, so you gotta multiply 2 times negative 35.
Okay.
And that is 70.
Okay, negative 70 goes where?
Negative 70 goes in the top
All right.
of the Ninja Star.
Perfect.
And then in the bottom, it's just the same old B. So you just put 3.
Okay.
And then on the side, you would put 2x on the sides.
Top right and top left, 2x and 2x. Perfect. Kira has successfully set up our Ninja Star. Now, the question becomes, what 2 numbers multiply to negative 70 that also add to 3? And I'll write that down here too. Multiply to 70 and add to 3. Oh my gosh, Wyatt, you're so fast. I'm going to
Already done.
Oh, you're already done?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, thank you. So you should definitely hang out in the room, but you can totally start. Oh, did I not assign the Khan Academy assignment?
Mr. Anderson,
Oh, yes, Larissa.
how do you know which X to do? Like, is it just the starting one?
Yeah, it's always the leading or the leading term, which is 2x squared, and then you just get rid of the squared, so it's 2x and 2x.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. While people are thinking, I know that half of you probably have this done. I'm going to go ahead and assign this on Khan Academy. That way you can have something to work on. It's going to take me 30 seconds here, guys. pause the video too. All right, so I'm looking for all those quiet raised hands. Quite a few of you have a hand up. I'm trying to think, have I forgot to call on anyone? Yeah, there's a few people that I have not called on yet, so I have to give it to those people first. Yeah, Hazi.
Would it be 10 and -7?
10 and -7 is indeed correct. Cool, and then I need another, so I'm gonna go ahead and clear you guys, thank you. Another quiet raised hand to simplify these fractions and write the final answer.
On the road for another hour. I don't know. She said no.
Sorry, Eamon. You can unmute yourself later. What fractions can I reduce? And then what is my final answer? So reducing your fractions.
Well,
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, I got it.
Kira has an answer. Charles has an answer. Ulysses has an answer. Jade has an answer. Asha has an answer. And I have to give it to someone I haven't called on before. Ugo. Ugo, are you ready to do this? Your microphone is unmuted. You're ready to go?
Sure.
All right, what does the left fraction become?
It'd be 1/5.
1/5 or just 1x over 5? And then what about the right fraction?
Would it just be 2x over 7?
2x over, yeah, -7. I can't do anything exactly, which means our final answer, Ugo, is what?
1x plus 5.
Yep.
Wait, where do we get 10 and where do we get -7?
Yeah, so that was the hard question on 10 and -7. This was the ninja star. The question was what two numbers multiplied into -70 and also add to 3?
Okay.
Yeah, and Ugo, go ahead and finish it off for us.
2x minus 7.
-7. Final answer, box it. Yeah. All right, so you guys can go through example 2 and 3 at your own speed. I'm going to be giving you the first step on example number 2 to help you out. And there's one extra piece that I forgot to tell you guys, which is make sure that your leading coefficient is positive. So if I came back up here in my notes, I'll add this. Leading coefficient is positive. So I'll do a plus sign with a circle around it. The leading coefficient has to be positive still, otherwise it will always mess us up. So you can't use advanced ninja star if I have a -5x squared or something like that. I mean, you can try to use it. You will probably get it wrong though. All right. And I think
So then how do you do it if it is negative?
Factor out the negative. So for this one, I have a -12. So when I factor out the greatest common factor, I'm going to factor out -16. It might be -1. It might be higher. Charles, you want to go for this one?
Yeah, you
wait,
factor out.
real quick, could you go back from example 1?
Oh, yep. I can show example 1 and example 2 at the same time. Like that. Yeah, go for it, Charles.
It would be -2 outside, right?
Yep. Correct. And what's on the inside then?
And then on the inside would be 6x squared plus 7x minus 3.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. So Charles has factored out the greatest common factor. I'm trying to figure out a better system to how to use Zoom. All right, so this is going to be something I'm going to be doing in the future. Let's go ahead and just say yes if you have an answer and a raised hand for a question. It's the difference between raising your hand and doing our sign language letter Q. From now on, I guess for the rest of the year, raised hand means I have a question, and yes, like the check mark, means that I have the answer ready to go. And if you have a yes, I will sometimes put your hand down, I guess. And then if you have a question, then that automatically will go down. So Ulysses, I'm guessing, has an answer as well still. Or Ulysses, do you want to do the next step for us?
Then would you do 6 times -3?
Yes, and that is?
It'll be -18
Perfect. Where does that go on the Ninja Star, the advanced Ninja Star?
on top.
Up top, all right, -18. What about the bottom, Ulysses?
Is it 7?
It is indeed 7. And what about the top left and top right, these spots here?
7x.
Ooh, careful. Is that leading term without the square?
Oh, 6x.
There it is, yeah, 6x and 6x. Thank you, Ulysses. And if you guys just leave your yes up, that means that you're in the queue to be called on. So Charles, go for it.
Okay. It would be 1 second. -2 and 9.
-2 and 9 is indeed correct. I'll do that in a different color. -2 and 9. Cool. Is there another yes out there who wants to do the next step from here? Sorry, Charles, I'm going to have to give it to someone else. I have to at least flip the flop instead of just having Charles do the entire problem. Yeah, Ashley, go for it.
So it would be x minus 2 and x plus 9.
Careful here. So we need to reduce this fraction. So 6 and
Oh, right. I skipped a step.
So that should be
Sorry.
What x over what?
Okay. So if you divide 6x by 6x and 9, divide those both by 3, you'll get 2x over 3. And if you divide 6x by 2 and you divide them both by 2, you'll get 3x. You'll get 3x over -1, which is just 3x.
You do want to leave the -1 because remember you're going to be writing a binomial, so you need a top and a bottom. You need 2 terms for your binomial.
Okay, so we should just, okay. And should I do the next step, or do you?
Yeah, if you want to do the next step, yeah. Because we're basically done at this point.
Okay, so the next step is 3x minus 1 and 2x plus 3.
And then don't forget you have to bring this -2 down as well, because we always want to rewrite our factored form with the greatest common factor still in it. Cool, and there's our final answer. Cool, thank you. I'm gonna have to run through this one kind of fast because we have only 2 minutes left of class, so sorry. I know that you guys, Charles wants to solve this one. Charles, you can tell us what the greatest common factor is as I'm working on this.
Well, it's 3.
Perfect, so I'm gonna factor out 3, and I have 12 x squared plus 13x minus 4, and then I'm going to multiply the 12 and -4 to get -48. So my advanced star has -48. I'm going to bring the middle term down to 13. 12x without the squared is just 12x in the top left and top right. The question is, what times what is 48? And I think, okay, 1 and 48, no. 2 and 24, no. 3 and 16, oh yeah, 3 and 16 probably works. So 3 and 16, this one's gonna have to be the negative. And then I'm gonna reduce my fractions. I'm gonna divide the left side by 3 and I get 4x and -1. Divide the right-hand side by 4 and I get 3x over 4. And then I rewrite it with the greatest common factor. And it looks like 3 times the quantity of 4x minus 1 times the quantity of 3x plus 4. Final answer in a box.